Hey guys, I'm back. It's been a while, but I am gonna start making some more videos. I haven't had my camera for the past 2 weeks, which sucked. But I'm back, and I'm gonna make some more videos now because while I haven't had my camera, I have been doing a lot of thinking. So, um, yeah, I'll be making some videos about some topics, some sort of rerun topics from other YouTubers, just some stuff that I've been thinking about for a while, or some newish stuff. But for this video, I want to talk about uh, our free will, our free choice to choose God or not. And this is something I'm sure almost all of you are familiar with from either side. I mean, whichever side you're approaching. Um, and it's been covered by some fantastic YouTubers over the years. And I felt like I had some independent input to put into it. I mean, I've been shown this topic from many different angles, but I thought I could perhaps give you guys just a little bit more to think about. And I'll be reading off of this little notepad thing I have here going. So if I'm not, like looking where I usually am, that's why. But I think I've fairly clearly sort of gone through this topic, and I think I can show that really, no matter what happens, no matter what's actually going on um, after we die, we don't really have a free choice if Christianity is correct, or really if Islam is correct, or uh, whatever monotheistic religion. Um, but here I go. Okay, so we know that God doesn't want robots who must love him. That's, he gave us free will for exactly that reason. He wants us to use free will and freely choose to love him. Okay? And from my previous video, you'll know that there's problems with choosing to love someone, but for this argument, I'll just, I'll grant that. So, but if God truly desired our freely chosen love, he wouldn't threaten us for not loving him. And I know that Christians say, well, wait, he's not threatening, he's doing this merciful thing, but really, the position we're in is choose love or choose hell, and it's pretty much that. And so, in fact, doing so, which is threatening us with hell for not loving him, effectively takes away all of our freedom to choose. And for example, if I only say to you, you have complete freedom to drive your car, it stands to reason that you can now drive as fast or slow as you like, wherever you like, for as long as you like. But if I then say, but if you don't drive only on the course I designed for you, you don't get to drive at all, it becomes very clear that my freedom is, at the very least, less than perfect, and at worst, completely gone. In order for a choice to be truly free, it must involve no stipulations or bias or outside tampering. In the case of God, there are two of the most polarizing stipulations imaginable, which are eternal bliss or eternal torment, which are two guaranteed positions based solely on the free choice of somebody doing their little performance here on earth in order to get heaven. So I outlined basically the direction it takes, and it's this. In order for a free choice to be made, there must be no outside influence, stipulations, or external pressures. Seems fair. You can't be influenced by something that's not yourself. Okay? Heaven and hell are obvious stipulations and external pressures. They're pretty darn big external pressures as well. So, and I think that's reasonable too. Therefore, the choice to love or not love God is not a free choice, because there are heaven and hell, which change the way you might think about your choice to love God or not. And so, I also wanted to address, most people talk about hell. Most people, when they talk about this, atheists, they say, our choice isn't free because if we say no, there's hell. What they don't realize, or at least what they don't vocalize a lot of the time, is that it's not just the negative. It's not just that there's hell that's bad, and so we don't want to disobey God and we want to love him. But there's also heaven, because heaven is also an external factor. which would make your choice not free. It would make it incentivized, and so you're not actually you're not free in any sense, because you're either disincentivized or you're incentivized. And so I've written, let's not forget about heaven. Even if there was only heaven and no hell, the choice to love or not love would still not be truly free, because there's still a massive incentive in the form of eternal bliss if someone chooses to love God. So even if the outside influence is only extremely positive, it still makes the initial choice less free, and therefore eliminates the possibility of freely choosing either option, to love or to not love God. Um, in fact, the only way God could make the choice to love him or not love him truly free is on making the afterlife a complete mystery. Because that way we wouldn't have any outside influences making us think one way or another. As I said, only then would all external influence or pressures be non-existent, and people could choose for themselves without worrying about the consequences in the form of heaven or hell. And I have some objections listed here. And the objection of God didn't create hell. We did. I mean, we chose it. He's not sending us to hell for not loving him. We're choosing hell by not loving him. But that's to say that God didn't create everything that exists. And I've put fairly simply here, did God not create everything that exists, and doesn't hell exist? And after all, everything that exists ultimately goes back to God. And if it doesn't, then God didn't create everything. So it's either you're going to choose that, or choose that God created hell. So either he created hell or he didn't create everything that's in existence. Simple as that. And it sort of brings up another topic, which is Christians act like there's only one way that God could have done it. But if God's truly all-powerful, he need not even have included hell in the possible places we could go after we die. And so if God hadn't created the system in which hell exists, and we had simply existed in a system in which hell didn't exist, or God consciously chose not to make hell exist, or make a world where hell didn't happen to exist independent of him, whichever path you want to decide that you believe. But if that universe had simply existed where there was no hell, then we wouldn't feel that external pressure to love or not love God. So if your objection is that we're choosing hell by disobeying God, why didn't God create a universe where there isn't a hell to go to if you disobey him? Which he certainly could have, assuming he can do anything. So I would silence that objection like that. Also, even if God didn't create hell to go to, God did create heaven, and it says so in Genesis. So even if you're going to say, well, God didn't create hell, we chose it, and so it's not really fair of you to say that it's something that God is making us decide one way or another to love him or not, and therefore taking away our free will. I'm bringing up heaven, which it clearly says God creates. God lives there, supposedly. And so by creating an external pressure, something that weighs upon our minds, that pushes us in one direction or another, to love God or to not love God, he's taken away our freedom. And so he did actively create a source of external influence which stops our choice to love him from being free. It's incentivized if there's a heaven. And so I don't think any way that it can be spun, we can have anything which is called freedom to choose to love or to not love God. And in my previous video, that's not even possible. You can't choose to love someone. And even if you could, it wouldn't be a free choice. So I would like to see any opposing opinions, responses to this, but I want to stress, just talk about the topic, because in a lot of my videos, people just go off on these long talks about completely unrelated subjects that are sort of tangentially connected to something to do with the talk that I gave in the video. And I wanted to keep it strictly to the arguments or debates or just talks going on in the videos. So, um, I mean, you can respond in kind of long and tangentially related things, but I'm just not going to respond to it. Other YouTubers might, but I just ask that you would only address the arguments in the video, because that, I mean, the only way that things are going to happen is if arguments are addressed plainly and without going on long spiels about other biblically related things. So yeah,